So you gave me $5 million.
Yeah.
How's it worked out for you so far?
Not bad.
What? Not bad?
I mean, you're kind of a pain in the ass.
But the investment so far.
That's the I have to do.
The investment so far.
Seems to be okay.
No, what? Just okay?
It's so amazing. You're such a star. You're the smartest founder ever.
Thank you, thank you. My ego feels satiated now.
Okay, let's go.
I think before we dive into the deck though,
Yeah.
we should set context for everyone of how like the mind space, where we were at, when did it happen, all that
Okay,
kind of
so
stuff.
this was April 2021.
Yes, it was like peak pandemic.
And we were still, I think, work from home.
Yes.
But, you know, business as usual, as we do in the venture ecosystem.
Yeah,
Keep
VCs work really hard, guys.
So do founders.
We do actually.
Especially early stage ones with no
Yes.
businesses.
Yes.
But really nice pitch decks.
Well, we're about to roast the pitch deck,
Yeah.
but I was
Yeah,
a
but
first year business school student.
Yep. You had your TikTok channel,
That was it basically.
and that was it. And you had worked at Norwest, so you had some understanding of general venture.
Broadly, the startup
Investing.
ecosystem. Yeah. So, with that being said,
Yeah.
you want to go into the pitch deck?
Let's do it. It's amazing, guys. Get ready. Take notes.
All right. So, monetizing the creator economy, Stan.
Yes.
How many of these had you seen at this point?
It's a
Peak
good-
creator economy.
Yeah, it's a good context setting point. There were probably 20 plus different creator economy tools, platforms, concepts that in play at that time. So it was one of those moments, I mean, similar to AI right now, like every other deal had something around creator.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't the most novel pitch, to be honest. But we did take the meeting. Lesson number one, it's really great to have a warm intro, somebody
Yes.
that, you know, understands what we invest in, we trust, obviously knows you pretty well. So there was a bit of vetting of, is this person even legit? But that's lesson number one, try to get a warm intro. So he got the warm intro despite the
intro.
fact that like the idea wasn't terribly novel at the time and the deck certainly didn't get the deal done.
Anyways, we're diving in. I don't want to show this first slide because I just looked at it. It's really ugly. So, walk me through your thoughts when you see this slide.
I didn't even know what you were pitching me. So you have to like tell the voiceover what you said because you didn't just show me
Sure.
the slide.
So
and not
that's
say
true.
anything, right?
That's true,
let's
actually.
walk through a little bit.
You're right, because actually I did something novel and I forgot about it until this moment, which was I actually just pulled up my TikTok.
You did.
This is
You
why my
did.
pitch was so good.
Yeah.
Relative. Sorry.
So good.
Okay, that was an
good.
unintentional flex. This is why my pitch was different. So you always want to have like a different pitch. You want to stand out in people's heads.
Yeah.
This is what I did to differentiate myself. I said, I'm going to start this pitch in a way that no one has ever started it before. So if we watch it together.
So I just quit my job in finance to start my MBA at Stanford and build a company in the creator economy. It's actually the whole reason I started making TikToks because I wanted to learn what it's like to try to make a living creating on the internet. So I spent this week on
was
market
like, wow, I
research,
gotta meet that
my goal
founder.
being to figure out what product I could code to help out anyone ranging from David Dobrik all the way to you and me selling our feet pics on OnlyFans. I used
says
these
that in a
Google
VC
queries
meeting?
and these research sites to size the market. But the difficult part was getting in touch with potential customers. I spent 3 days DMing other creators, hoping they'd talk to me about their problems and pain points, and basically got ghosted by everyone. But finally, one of my favorite creators, Farmer Nick, responded that he'd be down to work with me, and so we're talking next week about these questions, which I am super, super pumped about. Farmer Nick's response was a reminder to me to always shoot your shot. Even if you have to take 100 shots, you just need one to land in order to be successful. Make sure to follow along to learn how I conduct a user interview next week.
And that video went super viral. It's got like 500K views, but I'm curious, what was your reaction as I showed you that?
You know, I think you're absolutely right. It was a new tactic to start a pitch. It immediately created engagement, credibility, and a reason for why I should be talking to you about this topic.
Yes, I completely forgot we did this, but that was how I established that, like, I'm different.
Yeah.
I'm so special.
I'm
I'm
so
not
special.
I'm
I'm
not
a
like other guys.
snowflake.
I'm not like other guys.
Yeah.
And when I think about making good content, you always have a good hook.
Yeah.
This was like my hook for the meeting.
Yeah.
To differentiate. So then we dive into this first slide, which is really ugly. Basically, what I was trying to do here, what someone should do ideally, is to like highlight the market problem and like where the market is going.
Right, because it's easy to think that because it's your problem, I understand that it's a problem, but most of the time people don't care.
And so what could I have done better on this slide to establish like the market problem?
So I think it's just really helping the investor from wherever they are. They're either going to say, I follow these people, I understand these people, or you're going to realize this person has no idea what you're talking about and you're about to go through an uphill battle.
Yeah.
Under which case you might want to change the whole strategy of the meeting, because your pitch is not to get money, your pitch is to get another meeting. But this is slide 1. You'd already kind of gotten me with the video. I'm already feeling like you know what you're talking about. In this moment, I was like, yeah, okay, fine.
Which then led me into, I think this slide you've always told me was the one that was like your aha moment.
I like this one. I like this one because, again, now you've started with, here's the customer, it's Tatiana, it's not you anymore, notice that. Because if you talk too much about it, it's just about solving my own problems, it's a little bit egoistic. And so, anyways, here is the real problem, which is this person is trying to build a life for herself, a business, and these are the steps that she has to go through to just get the very basic thing done, which is to deliver some kind of knowledge or content to her followers. So I think this was a good way of, even though it's ugly as all hell, it gets the picture across.
My like MD or VP from baking is like rolling in their grave
Oh
right
my
now
God.
at how ugly this slide deck is.
I felt like you were sort of doing it on purpose. So
Just
I
to
was a
stick
little
it to
bit-
the man.
No, yeah, a little bit. Just to be like, I'm gonna go like minimum viable product here. And it kind of was that. It was like,
It was kind of complex because also we should paint the picture. The market was really hot at the time.
It was hot. Yeah.
Like people were like so into the creator economy. The market in general was hot. And so I was like, it's about the, like someone truly understanding the story
That's right.
was the excuse that I had for the ugly slide deck.
Well, and I will say, when you take out all the fluff, you do get to just the real content of it. And I think as a creator, that's something that you actually do in your own content, which is like, it is funny and it's, it's entertaining, but you try to get to a point pretty quickly. And so, yes, you could have a prettier slide and pay someone to do that, or you could just get the point across, which is here.
Yeah.
And I think we aligned on this one pretty quickly. And by the way, it's one slide in, so you're pretty quickly getting to that. And, the person across the table is like nodding their heads now. They're like, okay, there's actually a problem to solve.
Totally. And so, y'all, the strategy here of what I was trying to do is like, first you hook them in attention. Then it's like, there's a market here. And I think ideally you paint a better picture than me around like numbers of the market. And then this here is like, this is a problem, which enters the next slide, which is
Well, and I
like,
will tell you, the other thing this does is it shows you how big the companies are that are sort of
Oh,
in
yeah,
and around
that's
this
true.
problem, right? Like,
I wish I'd been that thoughtful. But yeah.
I know. I may be like overlaying, but
Yeah.
there's like, oh wow, Stripe's a big business. Good job. These
Yeah.
are all big businesses. So, what's happening here?
Yeah. And so that enters, then bam, the solution. So I tried to do like a visual replacement. This is so ugly. The visual replacement of all the other things was just Stan. So I'm curious, like, how are you reacting to this slide?
What can I say about this slide?
I mean, he was like a nice guy.
We're maybe the halo from the TikTok was still burning strong by slide 3, but maybe I'd say this wasn't your best slide.
Oh, how could I have made it
I don't
better?
really know what you're doing here. Like, you're the one-stop shop for creating.
Sure.
What do you do?
So what could I have done instead now that you know the business?
You could have said what you do.
So the attempt here was the visual was like, this one Stan store replaces
All of that.
all of that stuff. And then also, if you notice in the slide before, I showcased how much she was making before Stan
Yeah.
and how much time she was using. This is the main pain point.
Yeah.
And now with Stan, she saves so much time and she actually makes more. And that's actually true for all of our customers.
And, candidly, that was probably the voiceover you offered at the time. But, like, in this moment of asking me, like, what do I think about the slide? I mean, it's not your best slide. But, this is a great example of a deck that basically has a list of slides you need to do, and it has one slide for each thing. And so you had the customer, what are they doing right now that's a problem, and like, how are you solving it? So yes, you are solving that whole middle thing, but it's a little bit like, surprise, I'm solving it. Like, there wasn't really an understanding of how are you solving it, but it's okay. I mean, we get into more of that, I think, in time, but ultimately this is all a function of making more money with less time.
Yes.
For your customer.
Yes.
So that's the point. It kind of gets it done. I think you voiced it over at the time.
Nice. All right, next
Skated
slide.
by.
Oh, okay. So this is me kind of diving in.
Yep.
And this is me trying to show what Stan looks like on the inside. My voiceover here was like, and we do this through like having one simple, easy use dashboard, your business in a box. The pitch is like the operating system for your creator business. You got your analytics, you got your store there.
Yep.
Anything to add?
That was okay. I mean, I think it's a little bit like there's information that needs to be digested. So not every slide needs to sort of be explosive, but really succinctly explaining what part of the value chain are you doing. And it's never a winning proposition just to say, I do everything. You've got to do one thing. Like, what's the first thing that you're going to do that's going to cause a creator to say, oh, I'm going to try Stan out. Like, this is an interesting problem. If you just tell a creator, like, hey, all the things you're going to do right now, I'm going to replace them all. Like, maybe that sounds great because it feels efficient, but it also feels unbelievable.
Totally.
I don't think you knew at this time. I think you were just really trying to say, there's a lot of stuff that has to happen. We're going to bring it all onto one platform, and Stan's going to be that platform. So, it's still very conceptual at this point. It's fine. I mean, you didn't even have a business back then, so you're still narrating a lot.
Whoa, the next slide is...
Well, so I will give you this.
2 months of business.
So this is very YC-esque, if you guys, obviously have heard of YC, but it's very much how do you get out there and make some money? And kudos to you. You had some beta testers. You were getting paid. This was some customer proof that there was some early product market interest and need. So, it's good. I would say anyone making any money is really like, you got to start putting it to the test before you start asking other people to give you money. Like, you haven't even really, tried anything yourself.
I think the stat that's worthwhile to call out is this 25 beta testers.
Yeah.
Because a lot of hopeful entrepreneurs will try to pitch a business idea without any traction. Mm-hmm. And you would say, like, it's almost required to have some form of traction.
Yeah, and I mean, 25 is not a lot.
It's not a lot.
But it's enough for you to talk to people who are not you and hopefully get some context for, like, is your hypothesis resonating with at least early adopters? Because these are not only people who, you're close to or you reached out to, and so then they responded to you, and you don't have anything at this point. So they're responding because the problem that you put forth is one that they resonated with. That's why they responded. So, these early partners really are helping you evolve. Like, am I right? Is there something here? So whether it's 25 or 100, I think depending on what type of business you have, you might need more than 25. But this at least gives you confidence as a founder that maybe there's something here to continue to work on. Totally.
I always tell people that oftentimes the first 10 customers are your hardest to get.
Totally.
And so this was literally just me, like, hustling in the DMs. I was sending I sent hundreds of DMs, not thousands, to get those 25 beta testers.
Exactly.
All right, next slide.
Yeah, so I really liked this, and here's why. What you're talking about, so you didn't need to convince, and you wouldn't need to convince any investor that there's a lot of influencers out there.
Yeah.
I think this was the big idea and the big thesis, is that the creator is actually not just a person being an independent sole proprietor, but like there is a business to be built around that creator, and that if that's the case, that person needs a whole lot of services to be able to accomplish building a business for themselves versus just having a side hustle.
Totally. And what I'm realizing the story arc is here is, first, you have the problem, right? There's like all these things that need to happen, the market opportunity, and then I hit you with the initial traction.
Yep.
And then it's like this tiny little thing here.
This is where we are.
Could be.
This is where we're going.
The future.
Yeah.
And this is the multi-billion-dollar opportunity.
Yeah.
And if I'm gonna guess right, the next slide is why I'm just kidding. The next slide.
And I need your money.
The next slide is I need your money, but as thoughtfully as possible why I need your money, although it's still pretty broad.
It's very broad.
What are your thoughts actually on, in early stage pitch decks, investors asking for financial, like should a founder include their financial projections at this early stage?
I'm of two minds of this. One is, it's great if you give some thought to it, because then you're not just thinking about the idea, but you are thinking about, is there a business to be built here? And if that's the case, what are you selling? Are you selling a thing? Are you selling software? Are you selling is it a fee? So it's a percent transaction. And based on the business model of what you're selling, how many people need to be on this platform to be a big business? So you're just trying to get a frame of reference. If you don't do any of it, I don't think you are in a position where you know how you'd put the money to work, because you don't know how
That's
long
true.
it's going to last you. You don't know who you're hiring because you don't know what product you're building. So I do think that it's important to use the financial conversation or slide just to let an investor understand how you're thinking about the opportunity and where you think the business model is going versus I'm going to do $100 million in 3 years. Like, whatever. I can make that model in 5 minutes for you.
That makes a lot of sense. So it's almost like a what do you need to believe analysis, as opposed to like, this is the nitty gritty like financial drivers. It's more so like, does the business model kind of check out?
Yeah. So then you would get to, because you say, I want to build a diverse founding team. Okay, great. It was just you by the way, at this time. So you needed to build everything. I want to establish this de facto brand. What does that mean? I think it means just prettier slides, a better logo, and then invest in community-driven distribution. So like this actually says nothing.
It was a bunch of abstract terms.
Yeah,
I'm sure
definitely doesn't say
explained
anything.
each one.
No,
but-
you didn't. I definitely didn't give you money for this slide.
All right, so if you were to give a grade for this slide, what would it be?
I mean,
With pluses and minuses.
I
if you were
guess
so
like
kind.
a D plus. What's really helpful is you were clear about what you wanted to raise. $5 million.
So the real takeaway from this slide is
I'm
we're
gonna
raising
say,
5.
yeah. You know why? Because some people are like, oh, I'm raising somewhere between 500,000 and 17 million. You're like,
That's
what?
not helpful. Yeah.
What that means is some people have told you should not raise a big round and get some angel money. Other people have said, what are you going to do with 5? Why don't you raise 20?
Yeah.
So have a perspective, figure out what you need, and then of course, the reason why this is a D plus is just because you actually like put a stake in the ground, but otherwise it's an F because like what does that get you to?
The next slide, though.
Is there more?
There is.
I can't even remember. Maybe I
because
blocked it out.
I think I should have put this. So we did this slide. That was probably a mistake. I should have put this next slide here because the ideal is like this is the problem.
This slide was here? Oh, terrible. I mean, this was in the very beginning. It should have been in there. Because I think your arc is like, okay, I'm asking for $5 million, and then you wanted to end with, why should you back me?
Yeah.
But you started it with, why should you back me?
Okay.
So you already had that with the TikTok.
So you don't think this is like a good like second round punch of like reminder?
I mean, I would end it with something maybe a little more aspirational than a picture of yourself.
Why is this?
He wanted to do this.
Skewered.
It's like
Skewered.
you asked for this. Would you ask for
I
me
did
to
ask
do
for
this?
this. This is punishment. So on this slide, though,
Yeah, I mean, this is credibility building, right?
and that's the point,
That's all
right?
it is.
And so, can you explain to folks why credibility building is so important at the early stage? Because that is just like
Yeah, and the reason why I'm being extra hard on this slide is because at the really early stages, you don't have anything except yourself. You clearly don't have a company yet. Maybe you have a little widget. Maybe you don't have a co-founder or a team. But if it's just yourself, then it's even more important to start that in the very beginning. Because what if I've listened to this entire thing thinking you're a dodo head, and then I'm like, oh shoot, he's really smart. Like he's not just a influencer that's like thinking he can, just
hidden.
yeah, like
the whoa.
I mean, who knows? So you want to, if your background is really the reason why someone's going to say, hey, this person is very thoughtful, obviously very successful from a CV perspective, but it's sort of the balancing the left brain and the right brain, which I think is what you were trying to do here, which is like, yeah, I got all the credibility I need to like do any of these jobs. You can go be a VC yourself. You were already doing an investment job. You were at Stanford Business School, so clearly you're on a trajectory, but you're also this creator. And you're an entrepreneur. And I think that it's really rare to have somebody who's got both the left brain and the right brain to be able to put that together. And I mean, that's why somebody backs a founder. When people say, I back great founders, you're looking for a blend of what are all the sort of things that you need in the cocktail to be able to have a chance of getting something off the ground.
I think you're right that some of the slides got moved. I think this was the last one.
Yeah.
Because that's like the jumping off point.
Yeah, I think you kind of like end here.
So this was the jumping off slide to actually have a real thorough
Then
conversation.
the conversation, then you would get into like, okay, well, what are you gonna do with that? Then the questions that I asked were obviously conversations that we had on the phone, but I think suffice to say, no one is gonna give you money at the end of a 45-minute pitch over Zoom. What you're trying to do is to establish credibility as a founder, an understanding why are you starting this company, and you're hoping that there's desire for more conversation.
All right. So you've seen the slide deck again. Jogged your memory.
I want my money back.
What would you give the grade?
On the deck? I
Yeah.
mean, I did give you the money.
But what would you give the deck?
I mean, the deck's like a solid C.
That's passing.
Terrible.
Eurie, what is your one last piece of advice for the audience here when they want to go raise $5 million? That's a big question.
That is a big question. My true piece of advice is make sure you actually want $5 million. Because once you take it, if you get it, congratulations, you've just started a marathon. You can't get off. You know, I think we talk about it a lot. Even the company, very truthfully is doing very well. And I think it's a testament to the problem that you outlined in the pitch deck being real, and that more people are realizing that they want to have a business for themselves. They don't have the right tools, and maybe Stan can solve that problem. I think you've also iterated a lot since the beginning. But we talk about, do you want to raise more money? And you don't.
Not really.
You don't know what you want to do with it. You don't know whether you need it, because you're doing quite well from a profitability standpoint. And when you don't really know what you're going to do with the money, the pressure of having it is horrible. And it doesn't make a good relationship with your investors in the future to say, oh, I took in $5 million, but didn't spend it. That's not as good. It's just as bad to not spend the money as it is to spend it poorly.
Well, Eurie, thank you for your advice. Y'all, if you want to see more of Eurie and her wonderful advice,
Please don't.
She hates doing this, but I love forcing her to do this. Please like and subscribe, and so you won't miss seeing her. And then I'll also give a special shout out to Forerunner.
Thank you.
Y'all, I used to work in VC. I have raised from so many VCs. I've talked to so many. I will tell you 95 to 99% of VCs are pretty useless. And
So mean.
you're not allowed to say it, because you don't want to, but y'all, there's so many investors who will tell you, the meme is let me know how I can be helpful, all this kind of stuff.
Okay, we do say that a lot.
They do say that a lot, but Forerunner is actually one of the good ones. They're also obviously a great fund in general. I think your track record should speak for itself.
Yeah.
But founders, if you're at all looking to build, hit up Forerunner. They're great people. So
Thank you.
thank you for doing this video.
No sweat.